Back to my conversation with Rahm Emanuel, we turn now to the state of his party. One of the criticisms directed at Democrats in office currently from around the country is that they're weak. Then this week, 7 Democrats in the Senate broke ranks to end the government shutdown rather than hold the line on the Affordable Care Act insurance subsidies. Doesn't this bolster the image that Democrats are weak? How do you see the current state of your party?
Well, I think since you're obviously a student of politics, weak does not come under Rahm Emanuel. Look, my life has been when President Clinton wanted to pass the Brady bill and the assault weapon ban against the Washington gun lobby, I got the call and I took the bat and ball. When it came to creating health insurance for children with no health care, I got the call and I took the bat and the ball. When it came to taking on the pharmaceutical industry, the first city to sue them over opiates by close to 3 to 4 years over before any attorney general or anybody else, I got the call and I took the bat and the ball. So I have not only fought against these powerful interests, I've beaten them. And I can go down the list, also the financial industry when it came to reforms, and also the healthcare industry when it came to universal healthcare under President Obama. So weakness is not a character trait of mine. And I believe not only in taking on those fights, but winning.
But I understand you've got the reputation.
And my opponents will tell you that.
Well, I understand you have that reputation of being a pit bull, if you will, when your days in office, whether it was in the White House or in Congress. But I'm talking about the rest of your party now, when they capitulated that 7 Democrats in the Senate, and there is this image that the Democratic Party is weak. What do you see the state of your party? Not talking about your record.
I don't. So let me give you a slightly different take on that. Look, Democrats like to do a firing squad in the circle. One, the lesson of last week's election was this is a referendum on Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And they took a beating like nothing else. Across the board, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Mississippi, Minnesota, across the board, it was a whooping. Number 2, what emerged from all this rubble, and don't forget what the American people are seeing is not what you just saw in Washington. What they saw was a president willing to go to the Supreme Court to deny food to poor children so he could cut health care for their parents. That is what's going to be remembered out of this fight. Now, the president's own pollster, Tony Fabrizio, said, if we don't solve this health care premium support, we're going to lose the House. So while you want to score this who won, who lost in the game in Washington, I get all that. I've been around that. That's not the real score. American people don't pay attention to that. What they pay attention to and what they saw was a president of the United States cutting health care benefits, recklessly firing people, cutting their pay, just so he didn't have to give health care support to working middle-class families. That's what's going to come out of this. And in 2018, Donald Trump lost the election in the midterms over health care. That's going to have the staying power that goes thing. They showed their true colors, the Republicans. They went to the Supreme Court to deny food assistance to hungry children. So they didn't have to cut a deal to give health care support to their parents. That has the longevity that will last a year. Stop worrying about firing squad in the circle, a skill set Democrats do really well. Focus on what the Republicans are doing. Focus on what President Trump is doing. And the lasting legacy of the last 40 days was what the Republicans showed about their true colors. They're ready to do anything they can to stop you from getting health care support and giving you the health care. And that has now risen from the bottom of the rubble to the top of the rubble. And that will have staying power.
You just referred to the recent election. How about Zohran Mamdani as New York City's mayor? Rankles some moderates in the Democratic Party. Has the Democratic Party become too extremist?
Well, I think there's a couple lessons that come out of this, and as somebody who's spoken out about the party both being weak and woke, one of the things that now Mayor-elect Mamdani showed, he ran against State Senator Mamdani. State Senator Mamdani called the New York Police Department racist and for defunding. When he ran for mayor, he said, I would like to increase the size of the police department. There was nothing about defunding. He kept on the police, asked to keep on the police chief, and he did that. So it proved that even in New York City, the whole woke politics that defines the Democratic Party was out the window. none of the Democrats from in Virginia, New Jersey, Georgia, Mississippi, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, even New York City ran on the work agenda. The era of identity politics, grievance politics, and that somehow the maximum of oppressor oppressed is out. It's about opportunity. It's about playing by the rules and working hard. And it's about making sure that everybody has a chance. Now, I will give you this one vantage point that I saw by being ambassador. We are facing a challenge we've never faced in 250 years. China is 3 times our size. They don't mean to be a competitor. They mean to be an adversary that displaces us. We don't have a person to waste or a community to waste. We have to invest in all of America so they can compete and win. Now, Mayor-elect Mamdani ran his race. He ran a different argument than what the 2 gubernatorial candidates ran on. He also, though, showed by what he didn't talk about, which is relevant to the political script going forward, which is the entire, as I said, woke politics is out. Focus on where people live their lives, how they live their lives. I'll be giving a speech later on public safety and an agenda that deals with real concerns about public safety. And I think the Democrats have to, when they say, talk to people where they live their lives, don't just try to offer them free things. Offer them that both there's an opportunity and there's a responsibility that comes with citizenship and what you have to do to earn that, and then making sure that you have the opportunity and your children, most importantly, to succeed.
A couple more questions. First of all, I'll follow up with Mamdani. Are you concerned that he hasn't disavowed those who support the expression globalize the intifada?
Well, I met with him, and I was very honest and direct with him about that. As I said then, there will never be a river to the sea. Because when you say that, you're asking for the obliteration of the state of Israel. There will also never be a greater Israel, which is a different version. It's the flip side of that coin, which is a river to the sea. And as somebody who worked with both President Clinton from the Oslo Accord to the Wide Plantation to Camp David, in the end of the day, I believe in the right strategy and the dignity of both people. Went toe-to-toe with Prime Minister Netanyahu in 2009 when I was President Obama's chief of staff, called me publicly a self-hating Jew, because I went toe-to-toe with him about housing in the West Bank. There won't be a river to the sea. And I told him, when you talk about the global intifada, I was there in public life during Intifada 1, Intifada 2. It was the indiscriminate killing of Jews because they were Jews. And I said, you're too smart to not recognize what that language and those words mean. And you're going to represent 25% of your city, where those will be like a red handkerchief in their face. And I said, you're too smart of a person not to hear how they hear it and not be sensitive to them.
Now, our question of the week: what do you think about the Democrats in the U.S. Senate breaking with their party to end the federal government shutdown? Send your answer by email to fortherecord at WHBF.com or respond to this post on Facebook at the Local 4 News WHBF TV page or on my page.